One more segment in hour one of this week's episode of Implicit Bias. I'm Kevon Bordelon. Welcome into the Top Secret Podcast Lair, presented by Mr. Lester Steakhouse, the only five-star restaurant between New Orleans and Houston. Trust me, the TSPL is nice, don't get me wrong, but Mr. Lester's is just a whole nother level. Let me introduce you to the crew that we've got here this week. He is the rustic renegade, Caleb Morse, sitting in the chair much like mine. At the bar, we've got short, poor, burly Pellerin and hold harmless Brian Harmon of Dupree Carrier Godshaw. And of course, in the corner, we don't show him to you because we like you, not him, Walker Griffon, the Implicit Bias Pledge. So, Caleb, that looked... Anyway.
Yeah.
So, last story for hour one. We always like to have a little bit of fun with stories at the end of the hour. This is one that we actually touched on a little bit last week, but I really wanted to go a little more in-depth this week.
Now I'm trying to think of things that I touched on a little bit that I wanted to go deeper in.
This article comes from the Daily Mail.
Oh, wait.
The CIA...
Jackie's ears just went up.
The CIA, apparently in leaked documents, claims to have used remote viewers to go back in time and visit Mars when Mars was inhabited.
And when you say remote viewers, we're talking astral projection.
Correct. We mean people who go into sensory deprivation, separate their psyche, their spirit, whatever you want to call it, from their physical bodies, and can then move interdimensionally, I guess, through time and space.
This is the first one I've heard about through time. But do you realize the rabbit hole you sent me down with this?
Well, okay, so let's start with, matter of fact, someone who passed away, God bless you, Walker.
Bless you.
Someone who passed away in 2023, Jimmy Carter.
Mm-hmm.
Jimmy Carter admitted in a press...
Wait.
24.
Oh,
2024.
Go look at the headlines. That's a rabbit hole. Have fun. So that's a whole nother reference.
Son of a gun.
There was a reference to him allegedly passing in 2023.
Okay.
And after we saw what was allegedly Jimmy Carter show up to vote in 2024, I don't know that any of us, other than the people who were physically there, and I wasn't there, you weren't there, could physically say that was definitely Jimmy Carter. Because that poor person, they weren't able to move out of the bed, much less actually physically go vote. And I feel bad for whoever that was, but that's a whole nother rabbit hole. So Jimmy Carter did, in an interview, admit to the United States government using remote viewers to find a plane, I believe, in the Congo.
Yep.
He admitted this decades ago.
There have been multiple instances since then for psychics and astral projection for a number of things. They use them for missing persons. They use them for identifying and finding planes, for down planes. They've used them for finding remains of individuals that were lost during Vietnam. And then I started getting into it like, well, do I think this is real? And then I went back to the Old Testament, and I was like, okay, well, it's weird, and it's in the Old Testament too. So now I believe in astral projection.
Okay, so let's go to the bar first of all. Anything jump out at you about this story saying that there's life on Mars a very, very long time ago? We're talking, what, thousands of years ago?
It said like 1 million years
Yeah, it was like
ago.
1 million years ago. That's the claim.
1 million years BC.
Yeah, Burley, you actually need to be against the microphone.
Sorry,
Remember,
I was
this is
just
an
kinda
audible
thinking out
medium,
loud.
just so you know.
1 million years BC is what it says. To Mars, 1 million years before Christ. That's what.
So we would be 1,002,025 years later, right?
Through the astral plane.
Through the astral plane. So first of all, that's the first question I have, which is, do you believe that we actually have the ability to reference, see, and can verify something that far back?
No.
I don't think
No.
we. I don't
No.
think we
Hog,
do.
Hogwash.
But like, maybe a spiritual being, but I don't think spiritual beings can travel through like time. You know, God has that capability, but I don't think an angel, I don't think Gabriel would be like, you know what, I'm gonna go back this far.
Not for the purposes of reporting it
No.
back.
No,
I,
and
I'm
that's,
ju- I,
yeah.
that's,
So being able to confirm it to me is the hard part. I mean,
can we do it? Do we travel? Do our spirits travel? Do I hope for
Well, I
the
mean,
afterlife?
you
Absolutely.
Feel,
I mean,
you
absolutely.
feel presences, right? Like if someone walks in the room and your
Yes.
spirit might engage theirs,
No
and you're
doubt.
like, heebie-jeebies.
No doubt. My dog, I know my dog does. We talk about it in my family all the
So
time.
so wait, hold on. So whoa. So you talk to your dog, but you don't believe that we can go back and astrally
I
project
did not say I
remote
talk
view.
to my dog. I say I watch my
Every
dog's
dog owner talks to their
behavior,
dog.
and we've determined that it's because he sees something or senses something that makes him walk backwards and take a different route. I'm just
Well,
saying.
it goes into,
I don't disagree.
We're spiritual beings in a physical body, right? So there
Absolutely.
are things that
100%.
our spirits are capable of that we may not be. And like in this instance, when you look at King Solomon went to and found a witch to talk to pull out, what was his name?
You got me
He
here.
was a prophet, and it actually talks in the Bible about witchcraft, where a witch pulls out a prophet from the Sheol, the place of the dead, and he came up and she's like, "Who are you that have called upon this spirit?" And they had communication because a demon was with her, right? So the Bible tells us this kind of stuff exists, but we don't talk about interdimensional or intertime travel. That's never been mentioned. And then here with this, we talk about going back 1,000,000 years, which I don't think that happened.
That's where that's one of the spots where I kind of looked at this and said, nah, nope, that's not far back enough. Okay. I didn't go down the full rabbit hole. I stopped myself, even though I was interested. The short answer is no. I don't believe. I don't think any of this, as far as being able to have someone be able to visit Mars. First of all, my biggest problem was the 1,000,000 years y'all brought up. Yes, Mars had a very thick atmosphere. There was liquid water on Mars. Geological time is not 1,000,000 years is not long enough to go back for Mars to have been a blue planet like what we find Earth today.
So wait, how do you know that?
I don't know that. People that are smarter than I have told me have written articles about this.
So you trust the experts?
I trust the experts because in geological
You just
time,
keep walking yourself down that road.
in
Brian, I'm just
geological
saying.
time frame, 1,000,000 years is not very long at all.
No, it's not.
Okay, and it's not long enough. I think 1,000,000,000 years ago, roughly, maybe 400, 500 million years ago is what I don't know if astrophysicists are the experts on Mars, but that's that's how far back you'd have to go before you would get a blue and green Mars.
So here's where I want to have some fun with this, and this is my question for you: is this 1,000,000 Earth years or 1,000,000 Martian years? Because a Martian year is significantly longer than an Earth year due to the distance of orbit around the sun.
That's a good point. Still not enough time.
Well, then maybe time is different. Maybe they count years differently than we do. And I need to correct myself. It was King Saul who called up Samuel, and it is in 1 Samuel 28. It's called the chapter is actually the Witch of Endor, where they talk about it in the Bible. It's a really interesting section of Bible if you want to go back and read and look into it, because it talks about witchcraft and astral projection.
Here, to me, is the really fun part about this story. Live Martians doesn't catch a blip on anybody's radar.
Oh,
right?
No.
Aliens isn't a big deal in this story. Human beings, remote viewing, astral projection, and the CIA being involved.
Oh, imagine that.
Shocker. Well, and that's so another one. And it's the little bits of truth in here that you're like, I wonder if the CIA has messed with astral projection and remote viewing. We know they have.
Well, I wonder if they just fed him a bunch of LSD or something beforehand. They were like, "What do you see?"
DMT.
It could have been. They could have microdosed him. Who knows? And that, or her, depending upon who this remote viewer was, and come back with these answers. But the fact that we're spending government dollars to do this, we're walking down this road and we say government dollars. I'm sure all of this is on the books. Right? None of this is on the books. We have no idea where this came from.
There's a little bit more on the books than I thought there would be. Like, that's what the rabbit hole I went down. I was like, holy crap. There are multiple government documents that say this happened, not just one or two. That's where I was like, hold the phone. What, how am I just now learning about this?
Yeah, that's the same. That's what I felt too. It's like, how have I not gone down this rabbit hole already?
Yeah.
But it's just a bridge too far for me. That's all.
MK Ultra was a thing.
Yep, 100%.
We know it was. We know that working with remote viewers in the Army was a thing. We know that working with telepaths was a thing. There were actually, and please again, don't believe us on this, I just find it fascinating that the Army was doing research around people who would bend spoons by simply holding them and using their mind to, by the way, when they would bend the spoons, it would actually change the molecular structure. Like if you bend metal, it's not changing the atomic structure of the metal. It bends it, it breaks it, it creates fissure in the metal, as opposed to looking like the metal was formed that way from the get-go. And that's what the Army was researching. And to me, the most fascinating part of that is the ones that were the most fantastic and the most elaborate were kids. It was kids because a child's brain had not been polluted like an adult's brain to be told, this can't happen. This can't be done. When we get conditioned to things like that, one of the things that they would do to train people to do this, the first thing they had to do was take whatever utensils they were going to use and throw them on the floor. Because if not, the human brain looked at it and said, that's a fork. It's not meant to do these things. A fork is used for this. That's a spoon. It's used for that. Once it was on the floor, it was trash. Much like somebody who would give me the 1 minute finger in the corner, aka Walker. So you had to not care about it, like we don't care about Walker, and then you could bend it and ply it and do what you will with it, much like you will do as we take this break. By the way, if you're only getting hour one of Implicit Bias, call your local radio station, let them know you want hour two. If you haven't got it, by the way, find us on YouTube, Facebook, Insta, follow, subscribe, like, wherever you get podcasts, and catch hour two of Implicit Bias, which is always more fun.